Hey guys, welcome to journal number 7. Man, already number 7, I feel like these go by super quick. I felt like doing something different for this one. And the main reason for that is I was finding it hard to put out a journal after the last one that we put out, just because of the fact that it's one of my favorite journals that we've made. And creatively, it was more difficult for me to come with a concept or an idea behind journal number 7. So what I decided to do is show you guys how I shoot and how I edit and what goes behind making one of these journals. So the first part of creating one of these journals is sitting down or having an idea flow through me about what it is I'm going to talk about in the journal. Usually something happens during the week, something that's in my space, something I've been thinking about, or something that I've been feeling. And as soon as that hits me, I try to sit down and put it into writing. Writing it down just helps me clear my thoughts and organize my thoughts and ideas in a more concise way so that I can deliver that better to you guys. I also like to come up with ideas through visuals. So maybe I'll have a shot in mind that I want to capture, or maybe a moment that I've lived on the week that I want to really shoot and show you guys and explain what I've been feeling through that moment. Some weeks it's easier to come up with concepts, or there's something important that goes on, or something radical, or a thought or emotion that arises that makes it easier to come up with an idea or a concept for a journal. But there are some weeks, like this week, which can be more difficult just for a number of reasons. Maybe I'm not feeling good, maybe creatively I don't have as much juice, and making art is not a linear process. To me anyway, making art is something that ebbs and flows. So sometimes it's always there, but sometimes it's just harder to bring to the surface. Then comes the shooting aspect of creating the journal, which usually entails shooting a lot of simple moments, because I don't like to overcomplicate things, and I like to shoot with intention. And what I mean by that is I always like to shoot something with a purpose. So if there's something important going on, or if the moment is important to me, or if there's something beautiful going on, then that is what I'm going to be shooting. I'm not going to be forcing a moment to look good, or forcing something onto the frame just because it's there, or just because it's beautiful. I just really want to put images that speak for themselves and that you guys can relate to, and that are easily understandable visually. And that's a process that has been built over 6 years of shooting, and it wasn't always like that, but now I feel like I'm in a good place to where I don't have to shoot as much, and when I'm shooting, I know exactly what I'm shooting. And that also comes with the writing aspect that I started out with, which helps me organize the shots and the ideas and the concepts, which just lets me cut out any excess that doesn't need to be in the journal. After the shooting part is usually when the voiceover happens, and that has to be one of the most important parts of creating a journal, because the voiceover is usually the driving force that tells the story, not only through my voice, but also visually, because the images that I shoot will usually accompany what I'm saying. And that is, to me, how I can communicate what I'm feeling the best. So the voiceover is really, I'd say, the most important part of the journals, in my opinion. And it's something that I love to take my time with. And just because I feel like I really need to speak from the heart when I do those voiceovers, and it can sometimes be hard for me because sometimes the voiceovers can be pretty vulnerable. and one of my favorite steps, and also the scariest step. And then comes the editing process, which is also one of my favorite parts of creating these journals, just because I've always loved editing, and it's like just a big puzzle for me, and I'm a big puzzle guy, so just organizing the footage, choosing which shots go with other shots, and just mixing and matching is something I love doing. And it's really where the story comes to life, in my opinion, the editing process. It's also where I get to choose the music and build the story, build the emotion, and really just bring the idea that I wrote down in the beginning to life. And during the editing process is also where color grading comes in, and that is, I'm going to say again, is also one of my favorite parts, just because it's so satisfying to me to have a super flat image and then putting how I see the footage or how I see the image with the colors and the lighting, and translating that through the image. And I can do literally anything with the image that I want. It can be black and white, it can be super saturated, it can be unsaturated, it can be dark, it can be light. And I feel like that's another important storytelling element that goes into the journals and that goes into video production overall. After all that's done, and I like where the story is at, I like the color, I like the sound, I love to run everything through my partner, just because I value her attention to detail and her artistic expression as well. So she'll go through the journal and let me know if there's some things that maybe I should look into, or if there's something that she would like to add or move around. And yeah, that's a fun process as well, because art is not as much an individual process as it is a team process, especially for the journals. Yeah, I used to think that I could do everything on my own, and I've created some good art that way, but all of my best art has been created with the help of other people. Once it's gone through the very minute process that Gabby uses to look at the journals, I'll send that over to Brody for sound. And speaking of which, Brody, sending it off to you.
Hey everybody, my name's Brody. I'm a producer, mixing engineer, and sound designer in the Ottawa region. I've had the opportunity to be working with Jay for the past few weeks on his journals, and today we're going to be breaking down his 6th installment, The Way of Water. I think sound is a big deal. I think it elevates a production, and it really gives that finishing touch and really communicates the emotion, the feelings. That's why you can talk to the audience through music, and I think the sounds have a big part of that. You may not always notice them, but when you notice them, they're always impactful. So let's jump into the project. I have the session open, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what I received from Jay. Now, the most important part, in my opinion, is always respecting what his vision. So I'm not here to change the vision. I'm kind of here to just amplify and mix it and make it sound nice and kind of give those little ear candies, if you want. So Jay sends me the project with just the voice and the music. I was thinking to myself, what would it feel like if I was in the water? Now, I'm not a fan of like going deep into the ocean. I always think there's going to be a shark that's going to bite my leg off or something. So it causes me a little bit of anxiety. Not going to lie. I love the ocean though. I love surfing, but that's just how I feel. So that's kind of what I did. I tried to find a sound that communicated that anxiety, and this is what I got. Something that caused a little bit of anxiety or gave that sentiment of anxiety paired with a music that was serene and maybe a little bit more calm. It kind of gave a little bit more depth to what it would be like to be in the ocean.
Our breath burns in the shadows of the deep.
It kind of seemed a bit empty with just those sounds. So I decided I want to add a little bit of whale sounds. I know you don't hear whales every time you go free diving, but I found the whale sounds kind of gave a little bit of depth and talked to really the point that Jay was making about, life and the womb metaphor. So it just gave me the impression that the ocean was alive. I went sparingly with this. You don't have to, when you're doing sound design, you don't have to pick out every single sound. It's okay to have a little bit of dead space and to be simplistic in nature. And I've kind of adopted that because when I first started out, I would put sounds to absolutely everything. And necessarily, you don't really need to hear everything all the time.
Water connects all things.
Release attention.
Life to death. Darkness
Amazing.
to light.
I love that. I love that. And you know, if you're not doing little things like that in anything you do, if you're not pouring your heart and soul and you're not making yourself freak out by the art that you're creating, then maybe you just got to reevaluate what you're creating. Are you actually doing something that you want to do for you? Or are you doing it because you think that's what people want to see, want to hear, or want you to say? You know, it applies to a lot of things in life, but if you kind of just pour your soul into it, and you're passionate about it, I think that'll transfer to other people. All right, now let's go over to sounds in the water. So you notice there that the sound kind of disappeared the further he got from the camera, and that's really important. When things get further, they drop in volume, but you also got to take into account that the sound gets a little bit muffled the further away it is. Same thing, it's kind of like when you're outside the club and you hear just the bass kind of thing. It's the same properties that you got to apply into your sound. We're underwater in this case, so sound doesn't propagate as easy and it's not as clear. So you got to take that into account. So I'm always taking out the high frequencies in all the sounds that I'm putting in. So I also noticed that there were bubbles, and I thought that was impactful. So I added 2 bubble sounds. One was a bath getting run. So kind of just pouring water into the bath and kind of like the bubbles and stuff like that. And like kind of a draining sound, but it sounds like a bath. And the other one was just kind of like a bubble effect that I found. So for this scene, I wanted this to be silent on purpose. I know that you can easily see that there's bubbles and they're really close to the camera, and maybe it would have been a good thing to put bubbles, but I thought that if I let the music speak and I let the monologue that Jay was delivering be more impactful in this place, it would have more value than if I tried to bury a sound in there. I thought that, you know, silence is a really powerful element when you're in sound, believe it or not. So I thought that leaving this space open was probably the best thing. So I was actually finishing this up, and my girlfriend was sitting on the couch, and I show her everything about what I do, and she thought that adding little dolphin sounds probably be a good idea because it was something different than the whale sounds, and it kind of gave ambiance. And I just thought it was so beautiful to create that environment. I felt like I was there, you know? And it's weird to say, but I kind of live vicariously through all these journals because I'm kind of spending so much time designing the sound behind them, pouring my heart into it, you know? I just thought this was beautiful. Once again, I cut the sounds, not too much, just enough. I really thought the bubbles here and another bass riser would be really cool because this is the last scene before he gets out of the water. And then there was the release and the drop to music. I hope I was able to inspire you guys by showing you what I did and what I love doing. And hopefully you guys take a little bit of a lesson here to give 100% and to pour your soul into everything. No matter if it's art or work or whatever it is, never half-ass anything. Never give up on yourself and always push 100%. Take care.
Thank you, Brody, and thank you for everything that you do for the journals. It literally means so much to me and to Gabby. After all that's done, it's time to export the video and post it on YouTube, social media, and that is a step in and of itself. Marketing and posting and just sharing across our platforms, that's usually when it's time for Gabby to shine, and it wouldn't be the same without her, and it's something that she has expertise in that I don't. And yeah, thank you, my love. Just creating thumbnails, coming up with a description, SEO, all the marketing that goes behind just posting a video. For some, they don't really go into that process, but for us, we like to do that process just to try and reach as much people as possible, because at the end of the day, having people watch our art is one of the most gratifying things in the process of creating art. Getting your comments, your opinions, your perceptions, and your feelings about the journals and the art that we make is something that we absolutely love doing, and is one of the main reasons why we do this in the first place. I mean, of course, art is something that we do out of love and out of necessity, but it's also something that we love to share and love to see how you guys react and feel and get from the journals and our art. So for all of you that have liked and commented and subscribed and shared, thank you so much. And for those that are new here and that want to continue to support us, then continue liking, sharing your opinions, and sharing to your friends and family. It means the world to us. So I hope that this video has shown you how much goes into creating one of these journals, and I hope that you enjoyed this journal in a different version. And I'll see you guys next week. Turpin out.